Hello, everyone. This is Jay Dobbins of the Marvel DC Multiverse, and we are now at episode 336. And I'll be doing a review on Spider-Man No Way Home. So, spoiler alert: if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, I strongly suggest you do not listen to this episode. You've been warned. So, movie takes place after, of course, Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, framed Peter Parker for murder and publicly revealed his identity as Spider-Man, of course, to the entire world. So Parker and his Aunt May, girlfriend MJ, and best friend Ned Leeds are interrogated by the Department of Damage Control, but lawyer Matt Murdock gets all of the charges dropped. Parker, MJ, and Leeds, Ned, of course, applied to MIT, but their applications are rejected due to MJ and Leeds' association with Spider-Man. So Parker visits the Sanctum Sanctorum to ask Dr. Stephen Strange for help. And Strange suggests a spell that would make people forget Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which Wong warns against, of course. However, while Strange casts a spell, Parker requests alterations to allow MJ, Leeds, and May to retain their memories, but interruptions corrupt the spell. Strange manages to contain it, and of course makes Parker leave. Parker attempts to convince an MIT administrator to accept MJ and Leeds' applications, but are suddenly attacked by Otto Octavius. During the fight, Octavius rips Parker's nanotechnology from his iron spider suit, which bonds with his mechanical tentacles and allows Parker to disable them. As Norman Osborn appears, Strange captures Octavius and places him in a holding cell in the Sanctum, alongside Kirk Connors. Strange explains to Parker that the spell summoned people from other parts of the multiverse who know that Parker is Spider-Man in their world. So Strange orders Parker, with MJ and Leeds' help, to find and capture the remaining people. So, as Parker locates and captures Max Dillon and Flint Marko, Osborn reclaims control of himself from his split Green Goblin personality and goes to a feast building, where he is treated by May before Parker retrieves him. So, while discussing their battles with Spider-Man, the captured villains realize that some of them were pulled from other universes just before their deaths. So, Strange prepares a spell contained within a box that will send the villains back to their respective universes to meet their fates. But Parker, of course, Parker argues that they should first cure their powers and insanity, of course, hoping that doing so would prevent their deaths upon their return. So Parker steals the box spell, and after a brief fight in the mirror dimension, traps Strange there, of course. So Parker takes the villains to Happy Hogan's apartment and successfully cures Otto Octavius with Stark Industries technology. But while developing cures for Dillon and Osborn, the Goblin persona takes control and convinces the uncured villains to betray Parker. As Dillon, Marko, and Connors escape, Osborn kills May. Leeds accidentally learns how to open the portal using Strange's sling ring, which he and MJ use to try to locate Parker. Instead, they find two other versions of Parker who were also summoned by Strange's spell, dubbed, Parker 2 and Parker 3. Sorry, Peter 2 and Peter 3. Leeds and MJ, of course, find Parker and comfort him while the other Spider-Men share their own stories of losing loved ones and encourage him to fight in May's honor. So, the Spider-Men develop cures for the remaining villains and lure Dylan, Marco, and Connors to the Statue of Liberty, where Peter 2 and Peter cure Marco and Connors, respectively. Octavius arrives to help the Parkers and cures Dylan, who reconciles with Parker 3, while Octavius and Peter 2 reconnect. Leeds free Strange from the mirror dimension, but Osborn arrives and destroys the box spell, rupturing the barrier separating universes. While Strange tries to maintain the barrier, an enraged Parker nearly kills Osborn before Peter 2 convinces him to stand down. Peter 3 and Parker then inject Peter 3 and Parker then inject Osborn with his cure, restoring his sanity. Parker, realizing that the only way to protect the multiverse is to erase himself from everyone's memory, request Strange to do so, of course. But Parker promises MJ and Leeds that he will find them again. The spell is cast, returning everyone to their respective universes and wiping all memory of Parker from everyone in his universe, while retaining their knowledge of Spider-Man. Later, Parker attempts to reintroduce himself to MJ and Leeds, but finds himself unable to do so, wanting to keep them safe. While mourning at May's grave, he has a conversation with an unaware Hogan and is inspired to carry on without his real identity by making a new suit and resuming his superheroics. In a mid-credit scene, a universe-displaced Eddie Brock and his symbiote Venom decide to find Spider-Man, but are suddenly returned to their universe due to Strange's spell, unknowingly leaving a part of the symbiote behind. So, I'm going to give this movie I'd say an 89 out of 100, and I'm going to explain why. I would have given it a 9.9 out of 100 if Aunt May hadn't died. Because that's the only part of that movie that really pissed me off, and that's the only reason why I didn't call the movie a masterpiece. So, that being said, there's a lot of plot holes that I want to talk about. So that's why I was kind of like, because I was asking myself, like, why the heck would they, do that? And I'm just like, okay, killing off Aunt May, that's kind of crazy. And turning turning Parker into an orphan, that's even crazier. So, but, anyway, so, there's several plot holes in Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, for example, the Lizard was already cured. Lizard was already cured, and Doc Ock was able to take control of his tentacles, and he then sacrificed himself to save the city. So, I guess no cure was necessary for him. Electro never knew Spider-Man's identity, so I don't know how he count. Because in the movie he was like, "Oh, I thought you was black," But like I said, he never knew who Spider-Man was, so I don't see how he got into the equation, or how he fit into the equation of knowing, being one of them villains one of the villains who knew who Spider-Man was. And of course, Lizard and Sandman never died fighting Spider-Man, so I don't see how, their fate, how it was their fate to die fighting. I don't get it. So, and then of course, if all of them died, if all 5 of them had died in their timelines and it was their fate, then why change it? Wouldn't their fates be an absolute point than a Nexus event? Because an absolute point is something you really can't change, something that can't be undone. We learned that in the What If. So, in the What If series on Disney Plus. So, So I'm thinking, like, if it's their fate, then it's their fate. So I don't see how how saving them was even possible. But, and then another thing too, like, how do we know if the cure worked in their timeline, since they were sent back into the timeline that they died in or whatever? But they say it was before they died. But then again, we don't know, what happens. But it was never confirmed that the cure worked. So that's another plot hole right there. And another thing too, the fact that they undid, the fact that they killed off Aunt May after because I don't understand, why would you kill off Aunt May? And, as far as the blip is concerned, like, you blip her, so you kill her off, and then bring her back on to kill her off again. That's kind of crazy. However, they can still bring back Aunt May. However, bring back a variant, which is an alternate version. So, like, for example, now, the only way they can do, now that the multiverse is pretty much permanent in the MCU, they can bring back Aunt May's character. So Aunt May can, like I say, right now, the only solution to bringing back Aunt May is Madam Web. Because Madam Web has the ability to go, to travel through time. Time travel is one of her powers. She also has telepathy and, was it kinetic energy, I think? So, but she's blind though, so she can, because like if you watched the Spider-Man animated series, she was going, she was taking, I think I guess she was associated with the Beyonder, and the Beyonder is, I guess he could be part of it as far as like dimensions go. So she's one of the, but yeah, she's a mutant though, so she could pretty much, I think she'll be the key to either undoing Aunt May's death or bringing back, I guess, I don't know, I think that, she might be part of the multiverse as well, but she's like the key, so, I'll explain more on that later, as far as like a comics explain, if I might talk about that on my YouTube channel. But yeah, she's a time traveler, and she has control of dimensions and stuff like that. So parallel universes or whatever, or yeah, just dimensions. Because in the series finale of Spider-Man, and there was an episode where Madam Web sent Spider-Man to a different dimension along with other Spider-Men from different dimensions. Like the armored Spider-Man, you had the Scarlet Spider, you had the six-armed Spider-Man, you had a Spider-Man with no powers, you had so you had I guess you had one of them was a clone, Ben Reilly. So you had all these versions of Spider-Man. So I'm thinking like, that could probably work in the MCU, with Madam Web. So she opens portals. She's psychic, or she has telepathy. So that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, she'll be the key to bringing back Aunt May. Now, however, say they didn't do another Spider-Man movie and it involves a multiverse, and say maybe say he's in a dimension where he meets Miles Morales or whatever, and Peter Parker's dead, but Aunt May's still alive. So what they can do is, put Aunt May in a dimension where she died, and but Parker's still alive. So that can actually work. Just like the Watcher did with Black Widow. Black Widow didn't want to, in What If. So Black Widow didn't want to go back into her time because everybody's dead. So if she had went back into her time, she'll be the only person left alive. Because when it was the episode of What If Ultron won, that episode, that's where everyone died except for Hawkeye. It was Hawkeye and Black Widow, that were left, and then Black Widow was like the only survivor. So, and then but yeah. However, in the episode of What If the Watcher broke his oath, which he did, and he was he sent everybody else back to their universes, but Black Widow didn't want to go back to hers because everybody died, and that was the one where Ultron won. So the Watcher sent her to a dimension where she had already died. So he was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you to a dimension where they lost their Black Widow." So, however, she exists in that reality now. So they could pretty much, if the Watcher can do that for the Black Widow, then I'm guessing, Madam Web or the Beyonder can probably do the same thing with Aunt May. Open a portal and send her to that dimension where she died. Therefore, you're going to have a variant Aunt May. Therefore, Peter Parker will not be alone. Because Aunt May was the only family that Parker had left. Now you turn him into a doggone orphan. I'm thinking like, why the heck would you even write that in there? That's making no doggone sense. I mean, I don't know. This is that part. The lack of common sense from these writers is just unbelievable. They were like, oh yeah, we thought we killed Aunt May because, make it more, make it emotional and give, Peter Parker a better, a bigger purpose, just something like that. And I'm like, come on, really? You killed the only family that Peter Parker had left. And now he's alone. Like, nobody knows who he is. Now you kind of wonder if does he even have a doggone birth certificate or social security card? I mean, come on. So, that's the thing. Writers don't think about things like that. Because the point is, if you want to write a perfect movie, the goal is not to create plot holes. The Avengers Endgame, that would have been a perfect movie if it wasn't plot holes. If there weren't plot holes in that movie, it'd be perfect. Same thing with Spider-Man No Way Home. The movie would have been perfect if there were no plot holes. I shouldn't be asking questions as to, oh, did the cure work? Oh, why couldn't they, put Aunt May in a coma or something? Why you had to kill her off? Something like that. I mean, and then on top of that, why would you write it to where, Peter Parker, you would think a genius, you would think someone who is a character who is smart as Peter Parker would think to plead their case to the MIT administrator before going to Doctor Strange for a doggone spell. Because he was like, Strange was like, wait a minute, you didn't even plead your case yet before coming to me to do this spell? And he's like, well, yeah, I didn't, I didn't plead my case. And I'm like, wow, he could have done that first. Common sense, He could have used a spell thing, to make everybody forget Peter Parker Spider-Man. He could have used that as the plan B. Then, but, have used the, plead your case with the administrator, the MIT administrator as plan A. That could, but, yeah. And then on top of that, you have you have 5 Marvel villains. One of them didn't even know who Peter Parker was. But to say that all of them did, that's inaccurate. So, and it's also conflicting. It's a conflict or contradict. It kind of contradicts the Amazing Spider-Man 2, pretty much. Well, matter of fact, sorry, this is contradictions, pretty much. All right, conflict, same thing. Just it doesn't really match. Two different things, pretty much. So it just, every time they make a final movie, like a trilogy or whatever, like they did Avengers Endgame, is always a plot hole. It'd be nice to do a trilogy where there's no plot holes. So they could have done, I mean, the movie was good, no doubt. It could have done better, But killing off Aunt May, that should never have happened. Because think about it. You killed off Uncle Ben because Ben Parker died in the multiverse. Not because he was shot, or killed, nobody killed him. He died of illness. So he was sick. So there was, and Peter was like, hey, there was nothing I can do about it, So nobody killed Ben Parker. He just, he was sick and died. He got sick and, died. But now you got Aunt May, You kill off Aunt May. I mean, daggone, they killed off Aunt May in a doggone Spider-Man video game. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. Like, why would you kill off the only family that, Parker had left? Matter of fact, they killed off Aunt May in the Civil War universe. And then in the mainstream universe, after, this was like years after, Peter Parker and, Mary Jane got married. This was like I don't know, probably less than 10 years or whatever. Aunt May died of ill. She died, from sickness. She was ill. And then she died on her deathbed. But she didn't die alone, though, because Aunt May and Peter Parker were with her. So, there's 3 universes where she died. The Civil War universe, the PlayStation 4 universe, you got, and of course the Civil War universe. So, but now all of a sudden the MCU. I mean, come on. So 4 universes where Aunt May died. So, yeah, they can still undo that, since the multiverse is pretty much in full effect and permanent. So, but yeah, Aunt May's the key to undoing Aunt May's, Madam Web's the only, she's the key to undoing Aunt May's death. Either going back in time to save her or transporting her from a different reality to the MCU. So I'm thinking like, say if Tom Holland Spider-Man meets Miles Morales Spider-Man, I think it might be in a different universe. That's what I'm thinking. So I think that's where Madam Web comes in. And I'm thinking Madam Web will have something to do with Peter Parker meeting Miles Morales, and also Peter Parker meeting Carnage and Eddie Brock at some point. Or, the Venom. So yeah, I don't think Sony and Marvel Studios are done with the multiverse yet when it comes to Spider-Man. So, but anyway, like I said, the special effects was excellent. So I won't be surprised if they were nominated for an Oscar for that one. But as far as Best Picture, I doubt it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see when they do the nominations in February, I think. So, but I would say, yeah, special effects was excellent. I like how they were able to make it work as far as bringing villains from the other Spider-Man movies into this one with the same actors. So that worked. I wouldn't say that worked. I mean, it worked out. It worked out good, but but not as well as I hoped it would be. But it worked out good, despite the plot holes in it. But even though, like, okay, because I was wondering, like, at first, when I saw the trailer, Dr. Otto Octavius was like, "Hello, Peter," and then he was fighting him. Then he said, "Wait a minute, you're not Peter Parker," and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute now." I was like, "Uh-oh," because I was thinking, like, I think that that's when I was thinking, okay, maybe Tobey Maguire is going to be in this, in this movie when that happened. But so you have, I like how they were able to find a way to make it work. It didn't work well, but it worked in a good, in a way where I mean, that's the best way to put them in the Tom Holland, in the MCU without having to recast. So I like how they were able to do that, put them from different, universes. I mean, at least it made sense what they were doing in the MCU, or the Earth 616 timeline. So I like how they were to kind of work that in. And then, of course, let's not forget Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is Matt Murdock. I like how they were able to put them in. Some people, there were, I'll say half of the people in the theater did cheer. My best friend, she was like, "Okay, what are they cheering for?" I'm like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "That's Daredevil." She'd obviously never watched the TV show on Netflix. I don't even know if she has a Netflix account. Never bothered to ask, but so yeah. And then of course, oh yeah, but I like how they were able to put him in. I was really hoping they would, put Jennifer Walters in there instead of Matt Murdock, because they need to introduce her into the MCU since she has her own TV show coming out on Disney Plus called She-Hulk. So, but of course, obviously they wanted to do Matt Murdock. So, but and another thing too, I like how they were able, I like how they brought in Eddie Brock's Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock into it. Then of course he gets transported back into his universe, and then all of a sudden leaving behind a part of the symbiote. Now they can pretty much use the Black Costume Saga for Tom Holland Spider-Man. I mean, for the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. So, but the question is, what is the black costume? What is the black Spider-Man costume going to look like? So, or are they going to use anti-Venom? I mean, or Agent Venom, Flash Thompson or whatever. I don't know. But obviously, the Black Costume Saga is going to be in the MCU at some, So obviously, they're going to make that work. Black Costume Saga for the MCU, and then have have him transfer into the different, have Tom Holland transfer to a different universe or whatever with Madam Web's help, and to take on Tom Hardy's Venom. And who knows, they might go into a different universe, or they might go into a different universe, as where they take on Woody Harrelson's Carnage. Well, we don't know, but the multiverse can work, with the Maximum Carnage film, a Black Costume Saga, Tom Holland meeting Spider-Man Miles Morales, things like that. So, but I guess I'll try and get into that with you guys later. So, but anyway, storyline was good. Could have been better. Special effects was always, it's always good. The fight scenes were always good, So, but I like how, that final fight with the Green Goblin and Tom Holland Spider-Man, where Tom Holland was putting the beat down on Willem Dafoe. So I like that fight scene. So that's definitely going to be going into my epic fights collection on for my YouTube channel. So yeah, and before I forget, the movie, of course, has made, I would say, as far as I can remember, the box office, as far as the box office goes, the movie has made $302.9 million in the box office, with the production budget of $200 million. So, which is good. I won't be surprised if this movie hits $1 billion. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, that concludes this review. So feel free to visit us, like us on Facebook. We're available to iTunes, Google Play Music app, Spotify, and of course YouTube.